Hello children, let's come back to our maths class. Today we are going to continue with exercise 3.2. Yes. So in the previous classes already we have completed with exercise 3.1. We have completed all the sums from exercise 3.1. So today our work is to start with exercise 3.2. Before we go to exercise 3.2, we have some points to remember. Okay. So we have to take down some of the points which will be useful for us to apply it in the exercise. It will be easy for doing the sums. Get ready with your classwork, children. Take down your classwork. Write down today's date. Write down today's date. Give the heading points to remember. So before we start with a new exercise, let's write some of the points related to that exercise. So you're going to take your maths textbook. You're going to refer page 107. Take page 107. 107. Okay. So that is, you can see in page 107, a theorem 3.2. That is complex conjugate root theorem. And that is the first point that we are going to write down under points to remember. So write down here, first one, complex conjugate root theorem. Complex conjugate root theorem. First, let us write down the statement. I'll explain to you what does this statement means. Write down here. If a complex number, everyone has to write down the points to remember, children. No one is going to skip anything. Each and everything is important. If a complex number z0 is a root of a polynomial equation with real coefficients, then its complex conjugate z0 bar is also a root. So this is your first point. What is the first point? Here we are stating a theorem. The theorem states that if a complex number z0 is a root of a polynomial equation with real coefficients, then its complex conjugate z0 bar is also a root. This is what we get from the theorem. Okay, let me explain to you what does this theorem mean here. Now, you know about a complex number. What is a complex number? We have seen that z is equal to x plus iy. You call z as a complex number and it is written as x plus iy. Now, what is this x here? X is a real part, yes. And what is y here? Y is the imaginary part. And what about I? I is the imaginary unit. And also we have seen the powers of I, yes. Already we have written many powers and we have also studied how to find the powers of imaginary unit. So this is what we call as a complex number. So a complex number is a combination of a real part and the imaginary part. Okay children. Now what is the statement stating? The statement states that if a complex number is a root of a polynomial equation, this is a root. What is this saying? The complex number is a root of a polynomial equation. So suppose the equation is there and they're saying that, suppose they're saying that 3 plus 5i, okay, just saying 3 plus 5i is a root of a polynomial equation. Here they have mentioned that a complex number. What is a complex number here? 3 plus 5i. What is x here? X is 3 and what is y here? Y is 5. So this complex number is a root of a given polynomial equation. So once you know this, what can you write? Say that 3 minus 5i is also a root. How you get this point? You get this point from the theorem. What's that theorem? It's complex conjugate root theorem. Complex conjugate root theorem. What is the meaning of conjugation? If x plus iy is a complex number, the conjugate of it will be x minus iy. That is z bar. Z bar is the conjugate of z. How to find out conjugate? You have to just change the sign of the middle term. That is, you have to change the sign of the imaginary part. Do not change the sign of the real part. You have to change the sign of the imaginary part. That's x minus iy. So if we take 3 plus 5i as a root, you can also consider the complex of it. What is the that is the complex conjugate of it? The complex conjugate is 3 minus 5i, which is also a root. That's what you get from point number 1. Are you clear, children? Okay, now let's go for point number 2. Now for point number 2, you have to refer page 109. Come to page 109. You may have a confusion. What is this real coefficients over here? You know the meaning of coefficients, eh, children? Like if you have 3x, now here x is the variable part and 3 is the coefficient part. And whenever you consider the coefficient, you have to consider the sign also. Already we have studied this in our algebra. So now here talking about real coefficients means, now here you are talking about a complex number. So complex number consists of a real part and the imaginary part. Yes. So what about the coefficients? You have to consider the real coefficients. So the polynomial equation will be with real coefficients. With the equation, what is the statement? The complex number is the root of a polynomial equation. So we have to consider one equation. Yes, children? So how should be the equation? The equation should be with a real coefficient, with not the imaginary coefficient. We should not have any imaginary coefficients. The equation should contain only real coefficients. If this is a condition, and if you have one more statement, that is, if a complex number is a root, then you can say the complex conjugate, that is z naught bar, is also a root of the given particular equation. Okay, now let's come to the second point. You have to come to page 109. 109. You have theorem 3.3 and we are going to write on that theorem as point number 2. So let's write on the point. Write on point number 2. Let P and Q be rational numbers. Let P and Q be rational numbers such that root Q is irrational. Such that root Q is irrational. So this is the statement they have given. And also they have given that if P plus root Q is 1, P plus root Q is a root of a quadratic equation with rational coefficients. It is a root of a quadratic equation with rational coefficients. Then P minus root Q is also a root of the same equation. Then P minus root Q is also a root of the same equation. So this is your point number 2. What is the point number 2 states? Let P and Q be rational numbers. So you are going to consider 2 rational numbers. What are the 2 rational numbers? P and Q. Okay. But what about root Q? Root Q is irrational. And they are saying that if P plus root Q is a root of a quadratic equation with rational coefficients. Now here you may have a confusion. What is this rational coefficients? Now rational coefficients here for the first sum we took, that is for the first point we took as real coefficients. Because here we were dealing with the real part and the imaginary part. Yes. So the polynomial equation should consider only the real coefficients. Now here, what is the thing given to you? That 2 numbers are there which are real, that is which are rational, like P and Q are rational numbers, but root Q is irrational. So how should be the quadratic equation? The quadratic equation should contain only the rational coefficients. It should not contain any irrational coefficients. So let P and Q be rational numbers such that root Q is irrational. So if here P plus root Q is considered as one of the root, what will be the another root? The another root will be taken as P minus root Q. Very simple thing. Okay, children. So you may have a confusion. What is this rational and irrational? Already we have seen in our lower classes. Let us have a recap of what we have seen in our lower classes. So no need to take down this point, children. So you have to write down point number 2. I'll be just explaining you what is the difference between rational and irrational. You may have a note of it. You can just write the note using your pencils, so that it will be useful for you to understand the concept. So here I'm going to talk about a rational number and an irrational number. Okay, children. The first thing is you should know how to write a rational number and an irrational number using a symbol. Now you know how to write natural number? Yes. How to write natural number? We say n. How you write whole number? You write w. How you write integers? You write as z. Yes, children? So these are some of the numbers that we have used. Now here let us talk about rational and irrational number. Irrational, that is rational number is written as q and irrational number is written as r minus q. This is a symbol used for rational and irrational. How you denote a rational number? As q, and how you denote an irrational number? As r minus q. Okay, children. Now coming to a rational number. What is a rational number? The number which is expressed, or the number which is written in the form of p upon q, is called a rational number. And remember one thing, the denominator should not be equal to 0. This is a condition for a rational number. What is the condition for a rational number? It is written in the form of p upon q, where q is not equal to 0. Done? Now, what is the irrational number? In simple definition, the numbers which are not rational are called irrational numbers. What is the definition for irrational? The numbers which are not rational are called irrational numbers. This is basic definitions that we have seen. And also we have seen that the rational numbers are expressed in two different forms. We have two ways of expressing a rational number. The one is terminating decimal expansion. What is the first form? It's terminating decimal expansion. Now, what do you mean by terminating decimal expansion? Terminating decimal expansion means, suppose I just take a decimal number, it's like this, 3.57. Okay. Now what happens here? The number terminates. What is the meaning of terminates? Stops. So here you have a number 3.57. So this is the way of expressing in terminating decimal expansion. Okay, coming to the second point, we have non-terminating and recurring expansion. Non-terminating and recurring decimal expansion. This comes under the rational number, children. So what is non-terminating? Non-terminating means it goes on, like how suppose I take a number 4.5832, 5832 dot 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 dot. So what happens here? Just see, children, this is dot dot dot. What is the meaning of dot dot? That means the number is going to be continued. The number never stops. It goes on. Now what is the meaning of recurring? Recurring means the number is going to repeat. Now which number is going to repeat? A particular set of numbers. Maybe a 4-digit number or a 3-digit number or a single digit number. Any digit of number may be repeating again and again. So you call such expansion as non-terminating and recurring decimal expansion. Are you getting my point, children? So what are the two ways of expressing a rational number? The first one is a terminating expansion. That is, the number stops. Okay, 3.57. You cannot add any number over here, or you cannot reduce any number. Next one is non-terminating and recurring. Non-terminating means it's not going to stop. Recurring means it's going to repeat. A particular set of digits is going to repeat again and again. So this was under a rational number. Let me talk about an irrational number. We have only one way of expressing an irrational number, children, and it is non-terminating and non-recurring. What are the two ways of expressing? It's non-terminating and non-recurring. Non-terminating means you know. What is that? It's not going to stop. Good. What is non-recurring? Yes, it's not going to repeat again and again. You have different set of numbers like 15.39010011330021 dot dot dot. You see? So you have some different set of numbers. So I cannot have a fixed set of numbers which are repeating again and again, and it's non-terminating. The numbers are continued. So what is a way of expressing an irrational number, or what you can say irrational number? The numbers which are non-terminating and non-recurring. This is a irrational number. So you people should know what is the difference between a rational and a irrational numbers. Okay, children? I hope you people are clear with the difference between a rational and irrational numbers. Good. Now let's move to the last point. You have to come to page 110. Right on page 110. Let's write on the point. This is the last point, and after completing this point, we'll go to our exercise. Right on. Let P and Q be rational numbers so that let P and Q be rational numbers so that root P and root Q root P and root Q are irrational numbers. So here in the previous point we dealt with two rational numbers, but we took only root Q as the irrational number. Yes, children? So here we are going to consider the same two numbers as rational numbers, but root P and root Q are irrational numbers. And they have given you one more condition over here. Further, let one of root P and root Q one of root P and root Q be not a rational multiple of the other. Be not the rational multiple of the other. They are not the rational multiples. That is, if you multiply these two, you should not get a rational number. You should not get an answer as a rational number. So they should be not the rational multiple. Now here write down, if root P plus root Q is a root, if root P plus root Q is a root of a polynomial equation, if root P plus root Q is a root of the polynomial equation, again here they are saying it's with the rational coefficient. So you are going to consider a polynomial equation with only the rational coefficients. You are not going to consider an irrational coefficient. Polynomial equation with rational coefficients. Then root P minus root Q minus P plus root Q minus P minus Q minus P minus root Q. Here all the things are root, yes. So minus root P minus, because here we are going to consider root P and root Q as irrationals. So if you take root P plus root Q as one of the root, then you can consider root P minus root Q minus root P plus root Q minus root P minus root Q as the root of the same polynomial equation, are also root of the same polynomial equation. Third point. Very simple thing, you should know all the theorems so that we can apply it. So what is the point here? Let P and Q be rational numbers. So you are going to consider two rational numbers, that is P and Q. Okay. Now here, what is the condition we are assuming? Root P and root Q are irrational. What is the meaning of irrational? It's a non-terminating and a non-recurring expansion. Okay. Further, one of root P and root Q be not the rational multiple. Be not the rational multiple. That means if you multiply these two, you should not get a rational number. If root P plus root Q is a root of the polynomial, if you are considering one of the root as root P plus root Q, then what are the remaining roots? The remaining roots will be root p minus root q, that is the first one. Then minus root p plus root q, that is the second one. Minus root p minus root q, that is the third one. So totally you get 4 roots for that particular polynomial equation. Are you clear, children? Okay, let us have an example for point number 3. If I just take one example as root 3 plus root 5. Okay, children. Now here, this is a irrational number and this is also a irrational number because they are not the perfect squares. Yes, children? 3, I don't know, it's not a perfect square and this is not a perfect square. So these are the irrational numbers. So let me write down the remaining roots. So if you take root 3 plus root 5 as one of the roots, what are the remaining roots? The remaining roots will be root 3. The first one is root 3 minus root q. So it will be root 3 minus root 5. This is one of the root. The next one minus root p plus root q minus root p. So this minus should be away. Okay, children. The minus should not be written under the square root sign. So be careful. So minus root 3 plus root 5. This is another root. And the last one is you can write it in the form of minus root p minus root q. So minus root p minus root 5. So these are the different ways of writing the. Are you getting the point, children? So when you are going to use this condition, when you have two numbers as a rational number, what are the two numbers? P and Q will be a rational number, but root P and root Q will be a irrational number. Then you can have the required roots. Okay, children? Okay. Now let's move to exercise 3.2. Give the heading as exercise 3.2 and take on the first question. If k is real, discuss the nature of the roots of the polynomial equation 2x square plus kx plus k is equal to 0 in terms of k. So you are going to discuss the answer in terms of k. Here we have to find out the nature of the roots. So you are going to talk about the nature of the roots and already we have taken the points for nature of the roots. Yes, children? So let's continue with sum number 1. Get on the question. If k is real, discuss the nature of the roots of the polynomial equation 2x square plus kx plus k is equal to 0 in terms of k. Okay, let's start with the answer. Exercise 3.2 and we are going to talk about the first complete first sum. Right down here we have been given with the equation. What is the equation given to you? 2x square plus kx plus k is equal to 0. Right down. Given equation is equal to 2x square plus kx plus k is equal to 0. This is the equation given to us. Okay. Now, what is the thing here? They are telling us to discuss the nature of the roots. So, if you have to discuss the nature of the roots, you have to find out the value for delta. What do you have to do? We have to find the value for delta. Do you remember the formula for this? What is the formula? It's b square minus 4ac. What is this called? This is called as discriminant. Discriminant. It's delta. We call it as delta, and actually this called as discriminant. And what is the formula for finding the discriminant? It's b square minus 4ac. And we have three different natures over here. If the value for delta is less than 0, if delta is less than 0, what is the meaning of less than 0? Less than 0 means if it is having a negative value. Less than 0 means suppose this is a number line. This is 0. So less than 0 means it comes to this side. It comes to the left side. So it is a negative value. Greater than 0 means it goes to the right side. So it will be a positive value. Okay, children. So you have to remember the meaning carefully. So delta less than 0 means it is a negative value. If the value of delta is negative, what about the roots? You have to say that it has no real roots. What about the roots? It has no real roots. We don't get a real root. Okay, next one. If delta is greater than 0, if you get a positive value, if you get a positive value, you have to say that roots are real and distinct. What about the roots? The roots are real and distinct. Real and distinct means it is a real number and a distinct. The values will be different values. You get a different values. And one more thing, if you have delta as 0, if the value for delta is equal to 0, the roots will be real and equal. Already we have written down this point. Just for the first sum, we need these points. Okay. So if you get a negative value, you have to say it has no real root. If you get a delta value as greater than 0, you have to say the roots are real and distinct. And if the value for delta is equal to 0, you have to say the roots are real and you have to keep these three things in your mind and we have to proceed with the sum. Okay, let's start with the work. Here, have considered the equation that is 2x square plus kx plus k is equal to 0. Now what are we going to do here? You are going to find out the value for a, b and c. What is a here, children? Here a is 2. How I get a as 2? You have to compare the quadratic form. What is the quadratic form? It's ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is the quadratic form. All we have done in our class 10 and 11 also. So we are just going to compare with the quadratic form. So I get the value for a as 2. Okay, and what is the value for b? It's k. And what is the value for c? Again it's k. So I have got the value for a, b, c. Now I am going to find out the value for delta, because here the question is to discuss the nature. So I can discuss the nature only if I know the value for delta. Getting my point, children? Okay. Let's move further. So delta is equal to b square minus 4ac. This is the value for delta. What is the value for delta? B square minus 4ac. So now what are we going to do? We are going to substitute all the values. Let's substitute the values, children. What is B? K here square. So k square minus 4 into, what is A? It's 2. What is C? It's k. So k square minus 8k. So what do you get here? What is the value for delta, children? It's k square minus 8k. So what can be done is, just one more step, children. Here in both the terms you have k as a common term. Yes, children? So take k as common. So if I take k as common, what is left here? K. From 2k, 1k is taken out and 1k is left, minus 8. So delta is equal to k into k minus 8. This is what you get the value for delta. But now, can you find out the nature with this value? Not at all possible, because this is an unknown value. I cannot find out the nature. So what are we going to do is, we are going to consider some of the possible cases. What are we going to do? We are going to consider some of the cases and we are going to check the nature of the roots. Okay, so what is the value for delta, children? It's k into k minus 8. Take down this point. Now what are we going to do is, we are just going to draw a number line. Shall I draw the number line here? Okay, I'll draw the number line there. So draw a number line. Draw a number line. Just plot the point 0 and put your infinity. And this is minus infinity. To the right side you take a positive infinity and to the left side you take minus infinity. So 0 is here. I'm going to take 8. So you may have a confusion why ma'am is choosing 0 and 8, because just see this number, children. This is k into k minus 8. So this is just your rough work. You're not going to, you have to just do this part in your rough part. Okay. So how you get that part? See, if I take k into k minus 8 is equal to 0, because they have mentioned that the roots are real. Okay. So if I take k into k minus 8 is equal to 0, what I get? K is equal to 0. Yes, one thing. Or k minus 8 is equal to 0. Okay. So k is equal to 0 or k is equal to 8. The minus 8 comes to this side. So you get a plus 8. Getting my point? So you get the value for k as 0 or 8. So I have just drawn a number line which contains the numbers 0 and 8. And I'm going to take the infinity on the right side. And I'm going to take minus infinity on the left side. These three steps can be done in the rough part for your understanding purpose. So just do the work. Okay. Have you completed, children? Draw the number line using a scale and a pencil. No hand drawn works. Draw it neatly. So first thing, so we have been given with the equation. We have taken an equation, and from the equation we got the value for A, B and C. And what we have done, we have found the value for delta. Yes, children? Now, using this delta, we cannot determine the nature of the roots, or we cannot discuss the nature of the root. So what have we done? We have just drawn a number line. And what we have done, we have just listed some of the numbers. That is 0, 8, infinity and minus infinity. Now here, I have told you that we are just going to consider some of the cases. So let us consider some of the possible cases. Write down, children. Since K is real. So they have given you this condition that K is real. Since K is real, the possible values of K are. So what are the possible values we can take? The possible values of K are. So this is what we are going to find. So if you just understand this concept, your sum will be very easy. So what are you going to do is, you are just going to focus on the number line. What is the thing we are going to do? First of all, just see the number line carefully. We are going to choose particular cases. So how are you going to choose the cases? The first thing is, you are going to choose this area. Which area are you going to choose? You are going to choose the area lying to the left of 0. Where it is lying? It is lying to the left of 0. What is the meaning of left of 0? That means you are going to take a negative number. What is the meaning of negative number? Less than 0. So if K is real, or since K is real, the possible values of K are, one is K less than 0. What is the first case we are going to choose? We are going to consider this area. That is, we are going to choose the value of K which is less than 0. That is, we are going to choose the negative value for K. Clear? Is the first case clear to you? Okay. Let us go for the next case. What will be the next case, children? You can take the value 0 or 8. That is, I am going to take the same answer over here. So I am going to write down K is equal to 0 or 8. This will be the second case. What is the first case we have taken? We have taken the first case as K less than 0. And what is the second case we are going to consider? It's K is equal to 0 or 8. And I have told you how you get this. Yes, children? So just this work you have to do in your rough part. So the second case is 0 or 8. So I have chosen an area which is lying to the left of 0. Done. Then I have chosen the area on 0 and on 8. That is, I have taken this area and I have taken this area. Getting my point, children? So we have an area between this. Getting my point? So this area is being chosen, this area is chosen, and this area is chosen. Now we have some area between 0 and 8. So write down K lies between 0 and 8. That is the third case. So what will be the third case? K lies between 0 and 8. Okay, done. Now let us go for one more case. What will be the last case? Just see here. So I have finished this part. I have finished this part. This one is done. Okay, this area is also taken. What is left? You have the area to the right of 8. Right of 8. What is that meaning of right of 8? That means you are going to choose the value for K greater than 8. Add on K greater than 8. So these are the 4 possible values. What are the 4 possible values? K less than 0. That is one thing. The second one is K is equal to 0 or 8. The second point. The third one is K lies between 0 and 8. And the last one is K greater than 8. Still, we have not completed with our answer. We have just chosen the area. Yes, children? We have just considered the areas. So now what are you going to do? You are going to take one cases and we are going to choose a value and we are going to check the nature. Are you getting my point, children? Okay. Let's start with the work. Come on, let's do the sum. So I am going to consider the first case. I'll just write the value for delta because I need this value. So this is for my reference, children. Do not write down this. So what is the value for delta we have got? We got the value for delta as k into k minus 8. So I'll just keep this for my reference. And I'm going to start with the case 1. Let us go for case 1. Write down here. Case 1. Okay. And this is your choice, children. I may have a number. You people can have your number. Because here the thing is, we have to choose a number less than 0. So here I'm going to take a smaller number. You can just take any other number. It's your wish. There is no compulsion of choosing the same number. You people can have your own numbers for k less than 0. But just keep one thing in your mind, that you have to choose a proper number. So case 1, put here k less than 0. What is the first case? K is less than 0. Okay. Now, what are we going to do here? You are going to consider a number. So write down here, if k is equal to. Now k less than 0 means what, children? K less than 0 means you have to take a negative number. You know what is the next number here? It's minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, and so on. It goes on. So you can just take any number you wish. I am going to take minus 1. So if k is equal to minus 1. What is the number I have taken here? I have taken the number as minus 1. Let me find out the value for delta. Also find the value for delta. So delta is equal to k into k minus 8. Yes, children? So just substitute the value for k. So what I get? Minus 1. Wherever I have k, I have to put minus 1. Minus 1. Okay. Again minus 1. Minus 8. That's all. Substitute the value. So what do you get here? Minus 1. Bracket. Do not forget to put the bracket. Wherever you have to place a bracket, you have to place the bracket. Okay, children? Now, let's simplify it further. This is minus 1 as it is. Let's simplify the bracket first. Minus 1 minus 8. What is this? Minus minus plus. Okay. So 1 plus 8, 9. Good. What is the sign of the bigger number? It's minus. So what is the answer? Minus 9. Done. So you have minus 1 into minus 9. What is the answer? 9. Yes. Now actually, no need to go for the answer. We are just going to focus on the sign. So if you are able to write the answers directly, you can write the answers, or you can just go with the steps. It's your choice. The main thing is you have to find out the value for delta. So here we started with k is equal to minus 1. That is, we have chosen a negative value for k, but I got a value for delta which is 9. What is the meaning of this? That means the value for delta is positive. So write down here, delta is positive. So I'll just put here like statement. If k is less than 0, delta is greater than 0. I'll try to complete the answer. So if k is less than 0, delta is greater than 0. Therefore, it has real and distinct roots. Or what about the roots, children? It has real and distinct roots. You can just write down this as a box. So this is the first nature we have found. They're saying that discuss the nature of the roots in terms of k. Yes. So in terms of k we have discussed, and we got that if k is less than 0, delta is positive and it has a real and distinct root. So this was case number 1. Say down the first case, children. Let's go for case 2. So what is the case 2 you are going to choose here? You are going to choose the case 2 as k is equal to 0 or 8. So you have to remember this point also properly. So case 2, I'll continue over here. K is equal to 0 or 8. K is equal to 0 or 8. So they have given you the value for k as 0 or 8. So delta will be k into k minus 8. Just listen carefully, children. If I put 0, 0 into anything. If I put 8, 8 minus 8. 8 minus 8, again you get answer 0. So if I put 0 or if I put 8, I am going to get the value for delta as 0. Therefore, delta is equal to 0. If I put k is equal to 0 or k is equal to 8, I am going to get the value for delta as 0. That means what? The roots are real and equal. So write down here, if k is equal to 0 or 8, delta is equal to 0, therefore it has real and equal roots. You have to highlight your answers, children. So it has, so from here, yes, we'll consider from here. So if k is equal to 0 or 8, delta is equal to 0, which means the roots are real and equal. Okay, let's come to the case 3. What is case 3? K lies between 0 and 8. Again, your choice. You can just choose any numbers between 0 and 8. Again, I'm going to choose a smaller number, children. I'll consider k as 1. Are you getting my points? 0 and 8, yes? So, what are the numbers present between 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? So, I'm just going to consider k as 1. So, let me find the value for delta. It's k into k minus 8, yes? So, what is the value for k we have taken here? It's 1. So, you have to write down here 1 into 1 minus 8. 1, 1 minus 8. What is the answer? 1 minus 8 gives you minus 7. So what is the answer? It's minus 7. So if k is equal to 1, what is the answer you get? You get delta is equal to minus 7. What is the meaning of minus 7? Less than 0. Right down here. If k lies between 0 and 8, delta is less than 0. Delta is less than 0. So if the value for delta is less than 0, what about the root, children? It has no real roots. Therefore, that's so if 0, that is k lies between 0 and 8, delta is less than 0. Therefore, it has no real roots. This is case 3. And third, I hope you are clear with the different cases. So we have to choose all the areas. Okay, children. So we have taken k less than 0. We have taken k is equal to 0 or 8. Then we have taken the area between 0 and 8. Now we have to go for the last case. What is the last case? K is greater than 8. Let's go for the last case. K is greater than 8. So case 4, k greater than 8. Again, your choice. I am going to choose a number 9. So I'll take if k is equal to 9. Delta is equal to 9 into 9 minus 8. K into, that is what? K into k minus 8. Yes. So 9 into 9 minus 8. So I get the answer is 9. 9 into 1. 9 into 1 is 9. I get a positive answer. What is the value for delta? Delta is equal to 9. So let's me complete the answer. So if k is greater than 8, what about delta? Delta is greater than 0. Therefore, it has real and distinct. So if k is greater than 8, then delta is greater than 0. Therefore, it has real and distinct roots. Highlight your answers here. Also, highlight your answers. So we have completed the first sum. Are you clear with the first sum, children? Yes. So we have considered the 4 different cases and also we have discussed the different natures in terms of k. Clear on the answer? Okay. Now let's come to the next sum. Now listen to me, children. Your sum number 2 and sum number 3 will be your homework. Just I'll give you a hint how to solve the sum because already I have explained you the points. So you should know that point. You're just going to apply that point and you're going to find out the answer. Just come to sum number 2. Just see the question. Everyone have to listen to me carefully. Just put your pens down and listen to me. Find a polynomial equation of minimum degree with rational coefficients having 2 plus root 3i as a root. 2 plus root 3i. This is which point, children? First point. It is a complex conjugate root theorem. Yes. So what is given to you? It's 2 plus root 3i is a root. So if this is one of the root, what will be the another root? The another root will be 2 minus root 3i. So you can say one root is 2 plus root 3i. So other root will be 2 minus root 3i. You can mention the theorem here. Complex conjugate root theorem. I'm just giving you the hint how to solve, children. So just understand the questions carefully. And you have to send the homeworks the way I have asked you. So you have going to write on first root, you are going to write on the second root. Then now the thing is to find out a polynomial equation of minimum degree. Minimum degree means what is the possible degree you can find out? You have to find out. Don't go for the highest degree. The minimum degree, possible degree. So the first thing is you have to find out the sum. You have to add these two. So when you add these two, what happens? The plus and they are the same term, so they get cancelled. And you have to add this. You get the answer as 4. So first of all, you find out the sum of roots. After finding the sum of roots, you have to find the product of roots. So how are you going to find the product of roots? Multiply these two. Now when you multiply these two, just see here, this is a plus b and this is a minus b. So what is the formula? A plus b into a minus b? A square minus b square. A square, very simple, 2 into 2, 4. How to find b square? This is root 3 I square. That means root 3 into root 3 gives you 3 and I square. What is I square? That's minus. So you will get the answer. Okay, children. So find out the answer. Then you have to use the formula, or you can use the general form of a polynomial equation. There is x square minus sum of roots the whole x plus product of roots is equal to 0. The quadratic equation. Do you remember that formula? X square minus sum of roots the whole x plus product of roots is equal to 0. So substitute the value and get the required equation. I hope you people can complete your sum number 2. And the same manner you have to proceed for your sum number 3 also. So you have to complete question number 2 and question number 3 as your homework from exercise 3.2. Sum number 2, sum number 3. Okay, children. Now take down sum number 4. Take down sum number 4. So first sum is done. Yes, children. Is it clear for sum? All are say, shouting yes. Yes, children. All are shouting or all just simply closing your mouth and sitting there? It's understood. Just go on practicing all the sums. This lesson is very, very easy and this exercise is a very easy exercise. Okay, let's go for sum number 4. What is the question given to you? Find a polynomial equation of minimum degree with rational coefficients having root 5 minus root 3 as a root. Now here root 5 minus root 3, yes, that's the last point, third point, where you have p and q as rational numbers and root p and root q are irrational numbers. So we have to take one root is given to you. Now you have to find out 3 more roots. Yes. So let's write down. Find a polynomial equation of minimum degree with rational coefficients having root 5 minus root 3 as a root. Write down. Given one root is root 5 minus root. Okay, this is the root, given root. One root is root 5 minus root 3. So you know how to write the remaining roots. Already we have seen, yes. If you have root p plus root q as one of the root, here it's root 5 minus root 3. Yes. So if root p plus root q is one of the root, what are the remaining roots you get? Root p minus root q minus root p plus root q minus root p minus root q. So these are the different forms of writing the roots. So we have root 5 minus root 3. So they have given you the second form. So let me complete the remaining roots. So given one root is root 5 minus root 3. Therefore other roots are root 5 plus root 3. This is 1. This is done. Minus root 5 plus root 3. This is done. And minus root 5 minus 2. So I have found the remaining roots also. So I have been given it one root and I have found the remaining roots also, that is root 5 plus root 3 minus root 5 plus root 3 and minus root 5 minus root 3. Okay, let's complete our sum. So now what I am going to do is I am just going to take two roots at a time and I am going to make a quadratic equation. I am going to form a quadratic equation. because I cannot deal with all the roots together. Okay, children. So what are we going to do? We are just going to take a combination of two. So write down here, consider the roots, root 5 minus root 3 and root 5 plus root 3. So I am going to consider the first and the second root. Okay, children. Consider the roots, root 5 minus root 3, root 5 plus root 3. Now you have to just follow the same method that I have told you for sum number 2 and sum number 3. So you have to take the sum of the roots and you have to find out the product of the root and you have to make a quadratic equation. Getting my point, children? So let's do the work. So write down here. So consider the roots, root 5 minus root 3 and root 5 plus root 3. So find out the sum of the root and find out the product of the roots. Shall I continue down? I'll continue over here. So sum is equal to, or I'll put sum of roots is equal to, sum means you have to add. So root 5 minus root 3 plus root 5 plus root 3. Minus root 3 plus root 3 goes off. You get the answer is 2 root 5. I have found the value for sum of roots. What is the answer? It's 2 root 5. Now I have to go for the product of roots. Let me find the product of roots here. So product of roots. Product means you have to multiply the two roots, children. So you are going to multiply root 5 minus root 3 and root 5 plus root 3. Just multiply. Just do not go on simplifying like using the bracket. You can just use the identity a plus b into a minus b. So a plus b into a minus b gives you a square minus b square. So a square is root 5 square minus root 3 square. Very simple. A square minus b square. Root 5 into root 5, it's 5. Root 3 into root 3, it's 3. So 5 minus 3 is 2. I got the product of roots as 2. What is the answer? It's 2. Okay, so now you are going to form a equation, form a quadratic equation. Therefore, quadratic equation is, what is the quadratic equation? X square minus sum of roots. What is that? 2 root 5 x. X square minus sum of roots x plus product of roots equal to 0. This is what I get as a quadratic equation. So I have just considered one quadratic equation. So I have taken, total was 4 roots and from 4 roots we took the first 2 root and using the first 2 root we formed a quadratic equation and I have just given it as number 1. So I get x square minus 2 root 5 x plus 2 is equal to 0. Clear? Now I am going to consider the second two roots. I am going to take the remaining 2 roots. So write down here. Consider the roots. The sums are very simple, children. It's little lengthier. That's all. You're going to just show 2-3 steps over here. So first step is done. Now you're going to do second step, and we have one more step. So when you complete the third step, you will be arriving at the answer. So let's go for the second step. Consider the roots. Consider the roots minus root 5 plus root 3 minus root 5 minus root 3. This is what I have considered, minus root 5 plus root 3 minus root 5 minus root 3. So find sum of roots and find product of. Come on, find the answer, children. Find the sum of roots and find the product of roots. What is the sum of roots you get here? Add. So when you add, which terms are same terms, children? Yeah, they all the terms are same, but just see the signs also here. Minus root 5 plus root 3 minus root 5 minus root 3. Because we are going to do the sum, yes. So when you do the sum, no need of changing the sign. No need to worry about the sign. So root 3 gets cancelled. Plus root 3 minus root 3 gets cancelled. This is minus root 5 minus root 5. Minus minus plus sign is minus. You get minus 2 root 5. Minus root 5 plus root 3 minus root 5 minus root 3 is equal to minus 2 root 5. Okay. So answer is minus 2 root 5. minus. I'll just write little ahead so that it will be easier. You can see the numbers properly. Minus 2. Okay. What will be the product of roots? A square minus b square. I'm going to apply it directly. This is minus root 5 the whole square minus root 3 the whole square. So no difference. Minus minus is going to be plus. So no need to worry. You're going to get the answer is 5. And here you're going to get the answer is 3. Do not write here minus 5. Minus minus will change to plus. Root 5 will change to 5. So you get 5 minus 3 and the answer is 2. You get minus 2 root 5 and here 2. So you have to write down the quadratic equation. Write down the quadratic equation. The quadratic equation will be x square. This is minus. Yes, sum of root is minus. So minus minus plus 2 root 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. This is number 2. So we found another quadratic equation. The first one was x square minus 2 root 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. And the second one will be x square plus. How you get plus? Minus minus. That is sum of roots. X square minus sum of roots. So minus minus turns to be plus. You get x square plus 2 root 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, done. Now we have to consider again these two things. What are you going to consider? You are going to consider these two quadratic equations. The first one and the second one, the 1 and 2. So consider the first one and the second one. Write down. What was the question? The question was find a polynomial equation, right? So write down. Therefore, required polynomial equation is you're just going to take this 2. So you'll take this, see, x square minus 2 root 5x plus 2 x square plus 2 root 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. We're going to multiply the two equations, the two factors. X square minus 2 root 5x plus 2 x square plus 2 root 5x plus 2. If you just go for a normal calculation, you will get lot of terms and it will be a confusing thing. So what you have to do is, you are just going to arrange this in a you have just going to arrange the terms and we are just going to try whether we can apply the identity. This here children, so we have these terms say x square plus 2 x square plus 2. So I am going to write down these terms together. See how I am going to write down. Therefore x square plus 2 minus 2 root 5x, getting my point? And here x square plus 2 plus 2 root 5x. Here, getting my point? We have just arranged it. I have just arranged x square plus 2 together, x square plus 2 together, and this is minus 2 root 5 and this is plus 2 root 5. Yes, now we can apply the identity a plus b into a minus b. So what is our a? A is x square plus 2 and b is, so what will be the answer? A square minus b square. So what do you get? A square means x square plus 2 the whole square. A square, what is a? X square plus 2 is a. A square minus b square, that is 2 root 5. X is also there, is equal to 0. A square minus b square. What is b? It's 2 root 5. X the whole square. Let's open the bracket. Let's apply the formula here. Here we are going to use a plus b the whole square. A square. What is a square? X square square. X square square means a raised to m the whole raised to n. A raised to m n. 2 into 2, 4. I get x raised to 4. What is a square? X square square. What is x square square? X raised to 4. A square 2ab. So 2 into x square into 2. 2 2s are 4 x square. B square. That's 2 into 2, 4. Are you clear with this opening, children? X, that is x square means a square. A square means a square is x square square. So x raised to 4 plus 2 into x square. 2 into a into b. So 2 into x square into 2. 2 2s are 4 x square plus 2 square, that is 4. Let's come to this one. 2 square 4 done. Root 5. What is root 5 into root 5? 5. Do not get confusion, children. Do not write 25. That will be totally wrong. Root 5, 5. and x is here. So x square. So what do you get here? 20x square. It's minus 20 x square is equal to 0. We have some like terms, children. So let's try to simplify the like terms and let us complete the answer. Therefore, x raised to 4, this and this are the like terms with x square. So 4 minus 20 gives you minus 16. 4 plus 4 minus 20. 4 minus 20 minus 16. Minus 16x square plus 4 is equal to 0. This is the required polynomial equation. What is the answer? X raised to 4 minus 16x square plus 4 is equal to 0. Are you clear with this, children? Yes, I hope you people are clear. So we have used the third point to solve this sum. So we had totally 4 factors. We took the first two, then we took the second, or there is the third and the fourth. Then we got one equation from the first two and the second equation from the last two. We used that equation again and we got a new equation. Clear? Now one more thing, you have to complete sum number 5 as your homework. Now for sum number 5, children, you are going to refer page 111. You have to just use page 111. They have given you there solve example 3.14. Prove that a line cannot intersect a circle at more than 2 points. Okay, so here a line and a circle. And for you the question is a straight line and a parabola. So what are you going to do? You are going to write down the equation for a straight line and equation for a parabola. Just see here, they have given you the equation for a straight line. What is the equation for a straight line? If you people remember properly, we have already done in 11th standard. What was the equation? It is y is equal to mx plus c. This is the equation of line. You are going to use this equation of line. And for equation of a parabola, you have to write down y square is equal to 4ax. What is the equation of a parabola? Y square is equal to 4ax. So this is the thing you write down. Equation of line is y is equal to mx plus c. What is the equation of parabola? You write down y square is equal to 4ax. Okay, very simple thing. What are you going to do is, you're just going to put the value for y. What is the value for y? Mx plus c. So you're going to put this mx plus c here. So it will be mx plus c the whole square is equal to 4ax. Then you have to solve it. You have to just expand using the identity and you have to arrange, and that will be the answer. And what is the question they're saying? It is not intersecting at more than 2 points. More than 2 points means you will get the highest degree as 2. So if the highest degree is 2, that means you'll be having only 2 points of intersection. So it will be not intersecting at more than 2 points. So you can use the statements from the solved example for writing your final answers. Okay, children, are you getting the point? So only the two things you have to do. You have to write down the equation of line. You have to write the equation of parabola. That is the first statement. Then you have to substitute the value for y over here and you have to get the answer. Getting my point, children? Okay. So with this, we complete our exercise 3.2. So I have just given you 3 sums. That is sum number 2, 3 and 5. You have to complete these 3 sums, and with this, we complete our exercise 3.2. Yes, children? So in the next class, we'll be continuing with a new exercise 3.3.